I realized I really don't like my boyfriend's natural scent. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon when the unease first crept in, like an itch I couldn't scratch, whenever my boyfriend, Ethan, got too close. Now, I need to be clear. This wasn't some scandalous confession or hygiene issue. Ethan was always the epitome of cleanliness. He showered daily, wore deodorant religiously, and never left the house without his favorite cologne. The man was a walking, talking ad for personal care. But there was something deeper, something I couldn't quite put my finger on, that bothered me. His natural scent, the very essence of who he was, wasn't sitting well with me. To understand the full impact of this, let me take you back to where it all started. Ethan and I met in high school, and he was that guy, the one everyone noticed without him even trying. Tall, with a boyish charm and a laugh that could light up a room, he was magnetic. I was the quiet girl in the corner, more interested in my books than the social scene. Despite this, Ethan and I clicked. We sat next to each other in chemistry, passed notes during class, and shared a goofy sense of humor that set us apart from the rest. Graduation came, and we drifted apart, each off to different colleges, living our separate lives. Years later, we reconnected through the wonders of social media. One day, a message popped up on my screen, "Hey, remember me?" It was Ethan, and it felt like a bolt of lightning striking my mundane life. Our friendship rekindled effortlessly, as if no time had passed. We talked for hours about our college adventures, our career goals, and everything in between. The bond we had in high school was still there, stronger than ever. Slowly, those friendly chats morphed into something deeper. I started falling for him in ways I hadn't before. His cologne, a tantalizing blend of cedarwood and vanilla, was intoxicating. I associated his presence with that rich, sophisticated scent, and I was completely swept off my feet. We've been dating for 2 years now. Those 2 years have been a whirlwind of excitement, filled with adventures, late-night talks, and a deepening bond. Ethan is my rock, the guy who brings me soup when I'm sick and listens to my endless rants about work. He's the healthiest relationship I've ever had, a safe haven in the stormy seas of life. But somewhere along the way, that unease I mentioned earlier started to grow. It was a subtle thing at first, barely noticeable. I chalked it up to stress or my own quirks. I mean, everyone has their off days, right? But this wasn't going away. It started on a lazy Sunday morning, a rare treat when we both had time to just be. We were tangled in the sheets, enjoying the luxury of sleeping in. He rested his head on my shoulder, and that's when it hit me. A scent, not his cologne, but his natural body odor wafted up to my nose. I flinched, almost imperceptibly, but it was enough to make me aware. It was like a jolt, a stark contrast to the pleasant aroma I was used to. I didn't understand why, but I couldn't deny the discomfort. At first, I was in denial. It had to be something he ate, or maybe a new soap he was trying. I told myself it was just a phase, something I'd get over. But the discomfort grew, gnawing at the back of my mind. I found myself subtly shifting away from him when we were in bed, trying to position myself so his scent wouldn't reach me. I felt awful guilty, even for reacting this way to something he couldn't control. It wasn't his fault, and he had no idea. I tried to cope in various ways, showering immediately after we spent time together, changing the bedsheets more often, and even suggesting he shower more frequently. I made excuses about being overly sensitive to smells or preferring the scent of freshly laundered sheets. Ethan, ever the understanding boyfriend, didn't question it. He just smiled and went along with my requests, blissfully unaware of the real reason behind them. Despite my best efforts to ignore the problem, it started to seep into our relationship. I became more distant, less affectionate, and more irritable. The guilt was eating me alive. How could I feel this way about the man I loved? It wasn't fair to him, and it wasn't fair to me. The thought of a future where we might live together, sharing a space permeated by his scent, filled me with dread. One evening, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, I realized I couldn't keep this to myself any longer. I needed to confront my feelings, no matter how uncomfortable it made me. I owed it to both of us to be honest, even if the truth hurt. But how do you tell someone you love that their natural scent, the very essence of their being, is something you struggle with? The thought alone made my stomach churn, and I spent countless nights agonizing over the best way to approach the subject. Every time I opened my mouth to speak, the words seemed to catch in my throat. I didn't want to hurt him, but I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. Eventually, I mustered the courage to talk to my therapist about it. She listened patiently as I poured out my heart, and to my surprise, she didn't seem shocked or judgmental. She explained that scent compatibility is a real thing, rooted in biology and evolution. Our sense of smell plays a crucial role in attraction, often operating on a subconscious level. It's not something we can control or change. Her words gave me a small measure of comfort. I wasn't alone in my experience, and it wasn't a reflection of my feelings for Ethan. It was simply a quirk of nature, an unfortunate mismatch in our pheromones. But even with this understanding, I was no closer to a solution. I started doing research, scouring the internet for advice and stories from others who had faced similar challenges. I learned about the science of pheromones, how they influence attraction, and the various ways people cope with scent incompatibility. Some couples found ways to compromise, using scented products or changing their environments to mitigate the issue. Others, unfortunately, couldn't overcome the barrier and had to part ways. The thought of breaking up with Ethan was unbearable. He was my best friend, my confidant, and my partner in crime. I couldn't imagine my life without him. But at the same time, I couldn't deny the growing tension between us, the invisible wall that his scent had built. It was a dilemma that felt impossible to resolve. In the end, I decided to take a leap of faith and talk to Ethan. I waited for the right moment, a quiet evening when we were both relaxed and in good spirits. We were sitting on the couch, watching a movie, when I turned to him, my heart pounding in my chest. "Ethan," I began, my voice trembling slightly, "there's something I need to talk to you about. It's been weighing on me for a while, and I think it's time we address it." He looked at me with concern, his brow furrowing. "What's wrong? You know you can tell me anything." I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "This is really hard for me to say, and I hope you understand it's not about you as a person. It's something biological, something I can't control. It's about your natural scent." His eyes widened in surprise, but he didn't interrupt. He simply nodded, encouraging me to continue. "I've been struggling with it for a while now," I confessed. "It's not that you're not clean or anything like that. You always smell great with your cologne and everything. But your natural scent, the one that's just you, it's been hard for me to get used to. I didn't even realize it at first, but it's been affecting me more and more. I don't know why, and I feel terrible about it." There was a long pause as he processed my words. I braced myself for his reaction, expecting anger, hurt, or confusion. Instead, he reached out and took my hand, his expression gentle and understanding. "I had no idea you felt this way," he said softly, "but I appreciate you telling me. It must have been really hard for you to bring this up." A wave of relief washed over me, and I felt tears prickling at the corners of my eyes. "I'm so sorry, Ethan. I love you, and I don't want this to come between us. I just didn't know what to do." He squeezed my hand, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Hey, we'll figure it out together. Maybe there's something we can try, like different products or habits. I don't want this to make you uncomfortable, and I don't want it to affect our relationship." In that moment, I felt a glimmer of hope. Ethan's response was more compassionate and understanding than I could have ever imagined. He wasn't angry or hurt. He was willing to work through this challenge with me. It was a testament to the strength of our relationship, a reminder that we could face anything together. We spent the next few weeks experimenting with different solutions. Ethan started using different body washes and deodorants, and we invested in a variety of scented candles and room sprays to create a more pleasant environment. We also talked openly about our feelings and fears, strengthening our bond in the process. The journey wasn't easy, and there were still moments of discomfort and frustration. But through it all, we learned to communicate better, to support each other, and to find creative ways to overcome the challenge. Our love for each other remained strong, a constant source of comfort and motivation. Looking back now, I realize that this experience, as difficult as it was, brought us closer together. It forced us to confront a deeply personal issue with honesty and compassion, and it tested the resilience of our relationship. In the end, it wasn't about the scent itself, but about how we handled the situation as a couple. Ethan and I are still together, and while scent incompatibility may have been a hurdle, it didn't define our relationship. Instead, it became a chapter in our story, a testament to our love and commitment to each other. We may not be able to change our natural scents, but we've learned that with understanding and patience, we can overcome even the most unexpected challenges. The story doesn't end here, of course. Life has a way of throwing curveballs, and we've had our share. But every time we faced a challenge, we tackled it head-on, together. Our relationship became a tapestry of shared experiences, woven with threads of laughter, tears, and resilience. One particularly memorable moment was when we decided to take a weekend trip to the mountains, hoping a change of scenery might help us reconnect and relax. We rented a cozy cabin, surrounded by towering pines and the fresh scent of nature. It was idyllic, the perfect escape from the everyday grind. But even in that serene setting, the issue of scent lingered. We had planned a romantic evening by the fireplace, complete with marshmallows and a bottle of wine. As we cuddled under a warm blanket, I caught a whiff of his natural scent again. It was faint but unmistakable, and it sent a shiver down my spine. I panicked, worried that the entire weekend would be ruined by this seemingly unshakable issue. But then, something surprising happened. Ethan noticed my discomfort, and instead of brushing it off or getting defensive, he suggested we try something new. "Let's go for a walk," he said, grabbing my hand and leading me outside. The crisp mountain air was invigorating, a welcome distraction from my swirling thoughts. We walked in silence for a while, the only sounds the crunch of leaves underfoot and the distant call of an owl. As we strolled, Ethan started talking about his own struggles. He admitted that he sometimes felt self-conscious, wondering if his scent was something he could change or if it was a fundamental part of who he was. He talked about his fears of not being enough, of wanting to be perfect for me but knowing he couldn't be. His vulnerability broke my heart in the best way possible, reminding me of the depth of his feelings and the strength of our connection. By the time we returned to the cabin, the fire had died down, but the warmth between us had grown stronger. We sat on the porch, wrapped in each other's arms, watching the stars twinkle in the inky sky. It wasn't a perfect moment, nothing ever is, but it was real, and that's what mattered. Over time, we developed a new routine that worked for us. Ethan found a natural deodorant that seemed to blend better with his body chemistry, and we filled our home with scents we both loved, from lavender to eucalyptus. We also made a habit of having open, honest conversations about our feelings, no matter how awkward or uncomfortable they might be. This transparency became the cornerstone of our relationship, a testament to our willingness to face even the most personal challenges together. The scent issue, once a looming shadow over our relationship, gradually became just another part of our journey. We learned to laugh about it, to embrace it as part of our unique story. Our friends and family had no idea what we were navigating behind the scenes, but we knew, and it made us stronger. As I sit here now, reflecting on our journey, I realize that love isn't about perfection. It's about facing the imperfections, the quirks, and the challenges with grace and resilience. Ethan and I have built a life together, one filled with love, understanding, and a deep appreciation for each other's humanity. His scent, once a source of discomfort, has become just another facet of the man I love, a reminder that true love is about accepting and embracing each other, flaws and all. Our story continues, with each day bringing new adventures and challenges. But no matter what comes our way, I know we'll face it together, with the same determination and love that has brought us this far. Ethan is my partner, my best friend, and the love of my life, and I wouldn't have it any other way.